It's 6 p.m. on a very snowy Sunday evening here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Choi. We begin with domestic politics. Korea's election watchdog has submitted a new electoral map to the parliament with the hope of getting it passed on Monday ahead of a fast approaching election in April. But in order to get a vote on opposition, party-led filibuster must come to an end. Our Shin Se-min starts us off.
The ball is back in the parliament's court. Just 45 days before a parliamentary election slated for April 13th, the National Election Commission's Redistricting Committee has reached an agreement on a new electoral map after months of back and forth between the rival parties. The new map allocates 253 of the parliament's 300 seats to district representatives, up from the previous 246, and 47 to proportional representatives. The previous map expired at the end of last year following a constitutional court ruling that rendered it invalid because of population changes. The election watchdog's submission comes amid an ongoing filibuster initiated by the main opposition Minju Party of Korea over a ruling party-backed counter-terrorism bill. The question now is whether the party will end the filibuster to allow a vote on the electoral map at a plenary session scheduled for Monday. Under the current law, a parliamentary session cannot proceed with a filibuster in progress. However, the end of the filibuster would automatically bring the disputed counterterrorism bill introduced last week by the Assembly Speaker up for a vote as well. The Minju Party claims the counterterrorism bill will give the nation's spy agency too much power to conduct surveillance on citizens. The ruling Saenuri Party says the bill will protect citizens in the wake of threats from North Korea and beyond. The ruling party says it is preparing to introduce the electoral map and a number of pending bills, including a North Korean human rights bill and a controversial counterterrorism bill at the plenary session on Monday. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
With March 1st Independence Movement Day right around the corner, anticipation is growing for an address to be delivered by President Park Geunhye, especially given the timing of the occasion. The address comes after the U.S. submitted a draft resolution to the UN imposing the strongest sanctions yet on North Korea following its recent string of provocations and follows a landmark deal with Japan on the wartime sexual slavery issue. Analysts are expecting the president to deliver a strong message to Pyongyang, urging the regime to denuclearize, while reiterating a warning that its pursuit of nuclear weapons will only lead to the regime's collapse. To Tokyo, President Park seems set to emphasize the importance of staying true to its bilateral agreement with Seoul and to stop efforts to backtrack on the deal. China's top nuclear envoy is in Seoul for a 5-day trip. UNSC's draft resolution on North Korea is set to be the focal point. Other topics could include thorny issues such as THAAD deployment in the Korean peninsula. Kwon So-hwa fills us in.
Ahead of a vote by the UN Security Council on a new resolution imposing the strongest sanctions yet on North Korea, China's special representative to the six-party talks, Woo Da-wei, is in Seoul for meetings on that issue and more. According to Seoul's foreign ministry, Woo is meeting with his South Korean counterpart Hwang Jun-guk Sunday to exchange views on the international response to North Korea's recent nuclear test and long-range missile launch and the current situation on the Korean peninsula. Upon arriving at Incheon International Airport, Woo told reporters, as strategic cooperative partners, China and South Korea could discuss just about any issue on the basis of their mutual respect for one another. That could be an indication that the possible deployment to South Korea of the U.S. missile defense system known as THAAD, which China opposes, is on the table too. Ever since China reached agreement with the U.S. on the draft UN resolution, there has been rising speculation that the two may have come to some compromise on THAAD, as Seoul and Washington recently delayed their first talks on the system. Meanwhile, in New York, there is a chance that the vote on the new resolution will be delayed, as Russia, one of the 5 permanent members of the Council, said it needs more time to review the draft. Experts say that it's unlikely Moscow will oppose it, though it may propose minor changes. Kwon So-hwa, Arirang News.
North Korean leader Kim Jongun thanked some 1.5 million North Koreans who volunteered for military service. According to the North state-run Korean Central News Agency and Korean Central Television Sunday, Kim sent a letter of appreciation praising the young North Koreans, including laborers and students from across the country, for their strong will to serve the regime. The letter comes within 2 days after the North Supreme Command issued a warning statement that included a denouncement of a regular round of South Korea U.S. military drills slated for next month. Also, the Rodong Sinmun newspaper called the U.S. an evil empire obsessed with its theory of weapons being the key to win wars. The U.S. recently test-fired a ballistic missile which was seen as a display of its nuclear arms capability intended for North Korea. Economic policymakers from the world's 20 major economies vowed to fight terrorism by closing loopholes and rooting out deficiencies in the global financial system. In a communique following a G20 meeting in Shanghai, officials urged the France-based Financial Action Task Force to enhance its work on identifying, analyzing, and tackling terrorist financing threats, sources, and methods. Some 50 countries have responded to a new call by the task force since the Paris terror attacks in November, which left 130 people dead. The organization's blacklist includes North Korea, Afghanistan, and Syria, and the organization has recently advocated for greater attention on North Korea's financial institutions and transactions. South Korea's finance minister says he is ready to take swift action against any sharp currency swings after the Korean won's recent tumble against the greenback. Yoo Il-ho told reporters on Sunday he is keeping close tabs on the foreign exchange market as the Korean currency has faced increasing volatility amid global financial instability. The won closed at a 6-year low of 1,239 on Thursday, continuing its record-breaking downward spiral since the first 2 months of the year. The minister said it is necessary to resume a currency swap deal with the U.S. that expired in 2010 to stabilize the market, but did not elaborate on any other changes that would lead to a government intervention. Yu was speaking after a 2-day G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting in Shanghai. The world is watching to see what dramatic shifts March will bring to the global economy as currency volatility, plunging oil prices, and a potential Brexit seems to set to deliver a triple whammy. Reports of oil producer meetings have pushed up oil prices, but there's no telling what the outcome of a March gathering between 4 key producers will be. The monetary policies of the European Central Bank and the Bank of Japan will also be X factors. The biggest fear stems from the possibility of the United Kingdom departing the European Union. Public opinion in the UK on the matter is still evenly split, and a Brexit is certainly not improbable. The departure would deliver an especially powerful blow to Korea, whose exports to the UK would no longer benefit from the tariff exemptions in its FTA with the EU. And here's the latest on Korea's lunar exploration project. Korea's science ministry says it has secured over $17 million for phase 1 of its $160 million 2-year plan. In phase 1, the ministry envisions sending an orbiter to the moon followed by a landing vessel in the project's first stage from this year to 2018. Phase 2, it will send up an independently developed launch vehicle. The ministry also plans to develop an orbiter and a ground station using domestic technology. Seoul will coordinate with foreign agencies, including NASA, to develop the payloads. Whether you like it hot, iced, or topped with whipped cream, coffee is a popular beverage of choice all over the world, especially here in Korea, where statistics show people consume more coffee than rice every week. But coffee aficionados should proceed with caution, as too much could lead to osteoporosis. Still, a moderate amount could help prevent it. Oh Se-young shares with us the results of a recent study.
Most of us go for a customary cup of coffee after dinner. And that's the case for Hwang Tae, a 60-year-old woman living in Seoul.
Coffee smells so good. I love savoring the flavor and the aroma.
But that's bad news for coffee lovers. Research from Seoul National University Hospital shows that too much caffeine in your daily cup of joe disrupts your system from absorbing calcium. This can lead to osteoporosis, a bone-thinning disease. Drinking more than 3 cups of coffee a day, a total of 330 milligrams of caffeine, exposes you to the risk. But that's not to say you should cut out coffee completely. In fact, drinking 2 cups a day decreases the chances of getting the disease by 36%, while 1 cup a day reduces the risk by 33%. For women hitting menopause, 2 cups of coffee a day can actually boost bone density.
Research shows that women who drink no more than 2 cups a day have lower chances of getting osteoporosis. This is because a sensible intake of caffeine stirs antioxidative and anti-inflammatory activities.
Researchers say it's best not to add the cream and sugar, and those who are sensitive to caffeine or have abnormal heartbeats should refrain from drinking coffee altogether. Seoul, Arirang News.
And now the weather. This winter's farewell gift to Koreans, a sudden heavy snow. It's quite a sight if you're watching it through the window from the comfort of the indoors, but a source of concern if you're out there on the road. Snow advisories have been issued for Gyeonggi-do, Gangwon-do, Chungcheongbuk-do, and Chungcheongnam-do provinces, Seoul, and Incheon. In the worst-hit areas, the snowfall is up to 10 centimeters. It should stop later tonight, but those stepping out on Monday morning should still be careful of slippery roads and pavements. Temperature-wise, Seoul will start the day at -5 degrees Celsius, Chuncheon at 7 below, and Gwangju at -1 on Monday morning. Later in the day, Seoul will rise to 1 degree above zero, and Chuncheon and Gwangju will both get up to 2. And now let's check out the weather conditions outside of Korea, around the world. And that's all from us. Thank you for watching.